Hello, everybody. We are at the top of the hour. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to start here in a little bit as we continue to see attendees kind of coming in the door. So bear with us as we wait a few seconds longer. All right, I think I asked last time around like fall, what do you like to do in fall? Because Halloween's next week. Let's ask the question this morning. What's your favorite Halloween candy? Because I'm curious. I'm kind of a Reese's girl myself. Just making sure that chat works well for you guys. Snickers, those are also delicious. I like it. Reese's pumpkins, ah, yes. The shape cutout Reese's are really truly the best. So thank you for that. That's awesome. Dark chocolate, yes. Excellent. Very healthy choice compared to some of these other ones. I love that. Great. Second dark chocolate. All right. I love it. Cool. You can try. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Well, we are still getting a few more people coming in. Again, thank you guys for joining us today. This is the Workforce Hub University webinar series. I believe this is number 3 for us, maybe number 4. So thanks for joining, either for your first time or coming back to learn a little bit more. Okay, why don't we move forward and begin?
All right, we'll go ahead. Cool.
Perfect.
I guess I'll start out, Holly, or you can. Go ahead.
Go nuts. I'll let you.
All right. Yeah. Welcome, everyone. If you've been here in the past, you know who we are. My name's Travis Richens. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at Swipe Clock. Been here for, almost 10 years now. So happy to be here. Happy to show off Workforce Hub to you all today. Hopefully you learned something and find it exciting. Then we got Holly. Holly, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, guys. I am Holly Heltz. I'm the Director of Customer Success. So my goal is to kind of work with you and make sure your experience is a good one all the way from onboarding and then through support. I've been here about 3 years and really liking my role. And then lastly, we've got Lauren. Why don't you introduce yourself, Lauren?
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren. I am the Director of Events, so I help put on these webinars and give you guys that information about Workforce Hub. So let's get started.
Great, thank you. Okay, so first and foremost, we want to talk a little bit about what's coming next. We obviously, hopefully you know why you're here. We're going to talk about scheduling today. But the 29th, this will be our last webinar for the year because, holiday season gets a little crazy in December. So we're going to do really exploring the Workforce Hub Plus product. So we did this earlier on in the webinar series where we kind of took a look at all of the components of the Workforce Hub Plus. We want to do that again. We want to do it a little bit different than we had done prior. And this is really to help you get set up for next year. So as you are making your plans for 2024, we really want to be a part of that. We want to make sure you're on that right product. We want to make sure we're giving you some of those maybe expanded options that you're maybe not utilizing now. Or I know some of you guys are on various products that are not Workforce Hub Plus, whether that's Workforce Hub Advanced or Essentials, or even the older versions, TimeWorks Plus. So we want to give you an opportunity to look at, what improvements could you make across the board looking at 2024. So again, we're going to cover that on the 29th next month. Today, we're going to talk about scheduling and why that's important and some of the features that might help with different aspects of your business. And then we're going to wrap up with some Q&A. This is your time to kind of ask more specific questions or maybe things that you want to learn a little bit more about within that scheduler. So at this point, I will transition back to Travis.
All right, sounds good. Let's go ahead and jump into WorkforceHub. So as you may know, WorkforceHub, we have a few different platforms or packages for that. So we have an Essentials package, we have an Advanced, and we have Plus. So what we're going to be talking about today is scheduling. It is in Essentials and Plus. So it's available for those options in there. So actually, I don't know why I said Essentials. It's available in Plus. So if you're on Essentials or Advanced, yep, and Advanced, there you go. So, all right, so as we get into the platform, to find scheduling, you go up into time, and then scheduling is on the left-hand side. Before we get started here, I really want to kind of break down how the scheduler can be used for you and maybe various options here with the scheduling. I think when we speak to scheduling, a lot of people are like, man, I have just a small workforce, or all of our employees do the same thing. They come in at 8 or 9, they leave at 4, 5, 6 in the afternoon. How can the scheduler, how can this feature actually benefit me in that sense? So with that in mind, really want to break that down into 3 kind of use cases here. The first one I think is relevant to everyone, is just managing overtime. Managing the time that you want certain employees to work. And the scheduling, our scheduler can help with that, specifically overtime. So we can help with things such as, we call it scheduled deviation. So if you have a scheduler that we've had built out right now, for example, and somebody clocks in, it's maybe 6:30 versus 7 when they're supposed to, we can give you visual cues on the time card when you're reviewing those time cards that, hey, this person is punching in earlier, or maybe they punched in late. So it gives you a good indication of what your employees are doing there. So not only just are they supposed to be here every day from a certain time to a certain time, you can also be able to manage that and kind of see the patterns, see what your employees are doing. Another thing here goes right along with scheduled deviation is clock lockout. That's what we call it. And what it basically means is, you have a schedule in place, you are able to prevent employees from clocking in until their scheduled start time. So if you've got a group of employees that you want there every day from 8 to 5, and you're tired of them maybe punching in late or early, you can set up a feature inside WorkforceHub to prevent that. So when they go into clock in, if it's not within that scheduled time frame, we do allow a buffer time. I'll show you here in a minute where to set that up. But we allow that, and so the employee can't consistently punch in 15 minutes early, things like that. So with that in mind, that first use case, I want to jump over to the admin so you kind of see how we have the scheduler set up here, or the schedule set for all the employees here. If we go to the admin menu up top, and we go over to timekeeping, and then scroll down to scheduling, this is where you're able to set up a few things. Let me go ahead and see if I can make this a little bigger for everyone. There we go. So we have time card alerts. So for example, the first one, clocking in, if they're early or if they're late, we can have an alert sent to you as a manager. And then same thing with the clocking out, we can send an alert as well there. The next part on this, when we talk about kind of just managing overtime, is also managing maybe vacation time or unexcused absences, things like that. So if the employee is supposed to be scheduled on a day and they don't have a PTO request in, or they don't have, maybe you don't have PTO, maybe you just have unpaid time, they've already requested a day off that's been approved. If they don't have anything like that and they just don't show up, we can then record that on the scheduler for you. And so when you're reviewing those in the payroll review, you could see some employees did not come in on their scheduled days. So it helps you manage that employee's time as well. And then on the flip side of that, you have the employee not scheduled. So if you have an employee coming on a day that they're not scheduled and punch in, you'll be notified of that on the time card. You can see that they deviated from their schedule that was set. And then the last option here that I mentioned is restricting employees from clocking in. So clock lockout, restricting a punch. This is all based off the scheduler. So, and as I mentioned, you can set a buffer time there. So if you want to give them 5 minutes or 15 minutes, this can be set up to you. 15 minutes is the minimum amount of time that you can set. But you can assign 5 minutes there. So if an employee was scheduled to start at 8 o'clock in the morning and they were there at 7:50, they go to clock in, we would not allow that until 7:55 or whatever buffer you set in here for them. So, all right, with that said, I want to jump over to, before we jump more into the scheduler view, I want to basically kind of show off the notifications. We've talked about those here, how to set those up, how to receive, or how to kind of configure this, and so you can receive the correct notifications based off of early clock in and maybe late clock out. To see the notifications, you would go into the People tab, and this is set up per employee. So if you click on, say, your manager role, you can see those notifications. You can see what's available to you here. And so we have time off requests submitted. We've talked about that in previous webinars, but the late scheduled shift, this is what I was talking about earlier, is if they're late to their scheduled shift, you would be able to receive an email, or if you have the app downloaded, you'd get a push notification to the app on your phone. The other item that we'll talk about today is a shift drop or pickup requested. And so we do have the ability to have employees pick up open shifts and drop shifts if they need to. So we'll talk about that today and show you how that can be done. And the managers would receive a notification in the same form, email or push notifications based on that as well. For the employees, they have a few things. If an open shift is made available, we'll talk about that. That goes hand in hand with the shift dropping and pickup. And so if you as a manager can't find somebody, maybe somebody calls in sick, and you can put a schedule in an open shift category, then employees would be notified of that. So if they're not scheduled and they can pick up that shift if needed. The other items here that pertain to the schedulers, a schedule published or modified. I'll specifically talk about that when we build out a schedule and then publish it. I'll mention to you that once that is published, all the employees would receive a notification saying, hey, your schedule is ready to be viewed. One thing that I like a lot here that we've just recently added is the forgot to clock in. And so this is really important with schedulers. So this does not work without a schedule in place. So even, like I mentioned, even if you have schedulers of 8 to 5 every day, nothing really changes, it's the same thing. This is a great notification for the employees that if schedule's set at 8 o'clock and they forget to clock in, well, as soon as it passes that scheduled time, they're going to get notification of that they forgot to clock in, so they can go ahead and correct that. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump over into the scheduler once again. So that's in time, and then we have to click on schedule. Here you can see that I've already created, and I've done this morning, just to kind of see how the scheduler would work. And so see that I'm not able to schedule anything in the past, and we've done that for a reason. You can only schedule things on the day or in the future. If we go back here a week, we couldn't set a scheduler. There's nothing there, so it's always on the day moving forward. To break this down, I am logged in as a manager, and so you do see the managed schedule. I'll talk about the My Schedule, which pertains to employees. Talk about that after we build schedules and show you how that's done here. But overall, you can kind of see that we have different colors here pertaining to different admin states. You got manager, you got office manager, purchasing. You can categorize the colors however you would like. All right, building out the schedules is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go to a clean week. So we're going to go to next week, and we're ready to build these schedules out. I have vacation on here. You can see how an employee is putting it. Yeah.
Can I make one comment? Because I know that a lot of you guys are still working on, building out your accounts to the best of their abilities. The reason that Travis has things like admin, manager, office manager, those things are set in your org data. So we do want to capture things like what location are they working at? Who is their manager? What position are they working? This helps us align that scheduler to benefit you. So you can segment out, oh, I only want to see this location. Oh, I only want to see this department. So as you're looking at like, oh, why doesn't mine have those things included? Make sure that you're building out some of that org data. And again, that can be found in the admin tab as well. So I just wanted to mention that if yours doesn't look like that, make sure you're adding in some of those additional components to get that full benefit.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, that is really important, and that's why kind of the scheduler, if you're looking at yours and it's blank, that's a big reason why. So it's, see, let me zoom out. Holly's absolutely right. To add these things in here, so you can see, I come down and the drop down allows me to choose certain things. I can't add anything in here when you're in an actual employee. So to do that, you would go to the admin tab here, and you would go to company, and then you have employee types in here. You have organization set up, and so you can do the department, you can do location, and you can add positions. And so you would create all that on the organization data side, and then those fields would be available when you're choosing the employee. So if we come back in here to the employee, go to the employment section, click on edit, come down to organization, you can see that those are available for an admin to click and choose. So yeah, good point, thanks. All right, so the scheduler, and that does, I'll bring this up now, that brings up a good point in how to sort and filter. So if you wanted to sort by, the scheduler, let's say you got 100 employees in here and you want to see a certain group, or you want to sort by a last name or first name, you could easily do that here too. So we could sort by department. It changes that up. We could say location or manager, hit save, and it changes that sort. And then we can just view certain things as well. If we only wanted to say, see sales, we could do that. And so without those things set up, you're right, we would not be able to see them. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and I'm gonna clear my filters out. And we'll go to the next week here, and we'll start to build out the scheduler. And so we got a clean week. What we want to do is go ahead and start building the schedulers out. There's a few ways that we can do this. You can click any cell to add a shift, as it says here. There's a few ways. Just click and we can go ahead and add that scheduler in, or add a schedule for them. So let's say that Candace here, we know that she is a supervisor. She's maybe an early morning supervisor, so she starts at 6 and maybe she's done at about 3 p.m. every day. You can put in a lunch duration here if you'd like. It's not required. If you want to put in 30 minutes or so, you could. And then you could choose a color for this. Once again, this is totally up to you on how you want to see certain org data. So if you want all your salespeople, or say all your technicians, all office help, those things like that, you can customize the color to that. So I'm going to leave this at purple here. And then at this point, we can make a few changes right off the bat. So we can say that this is going to repeat every week. It's just going to repeat this week. And then you can choose the days. So if you're a company that is an 8 to 5 and that never changes, but you want to utilize the schedule deviation, you want to utilize the clock lockout features, knowing if you need to maybe create an open shift if somebody's out sick or a PTO, this is really what you need to do. Super easy to put these in. You would basically come up and say, this is going to happen every week, and you can put a start date and end date. This is their schedule. This is what they were hired to do. It's never going to change. Done deal. You can create that at this point. For my example today, I'm going to go ahead and just create this for a week, and then we can hit save. See that it does that out whole for the week. You can see that we have a little reminder here that says, don't forget to post the schedule. I'll show you that after we kind of build this out here. At this point, we have several other options to create a schedule. So you can see that we have other options here. We have a copy option. So if we wanted to copy a certain day and paste it somewhere, you could. So if you already like that 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., you copy, paste it to anywhere else you want on the time card or on the scheduler. And then at this point, you also have the ability to come over here, hover over the employee's name, and you can copy that whole week and say that you want to paste that to someone else. You want to paste that here to Hank. Click that and then paste that whole week there for Hank as well. Now, the Other ways that we can add schedules to the time card, you can see that we have an add shift option, and then next to it we have a templates. So if you have maybe a rolling schedule, or you have an AM versus PM, and maybe that switches every month or every quarter, every week, you can create templates here. I've got two examples in here. I've got a morning and then a morning A and a morning B. Click down here on manage templates. You can kind of see that these can be modified. The color can be changed. Template name, if you have a template code, that can all be updated. You can then also create as many of these as you need. So if you have, like I said, that morning, afternoon, and night shift, you can create templates. And so when you're ready to schedule out the next week or the next pay period, all you would really have to do is create those templates. To apply the templates to a specific employee, you just click on the template you want to use. You can see that a reminder up here comes up top. So all you have to do is apply this. And so we got a morning shift. We want to come down here to our, say, technicians. Let's go ahead and cancel this. I'm going to sort this differently by position. There we go. So I want to go ahead and say templates, morning shift, and the technicians. I want to say that Dennis and Sean this week are on that morning shift. So we just apply this template. After we do that, we go ahead and hit save, and that template has been applied to those specific employees there. And the same goes for the other templates. I mean, you can make as many of these as I mentioned. If you wanted to apply the morning B to the other opposite technicians, go ahead and create that, save those changes, and we're done at that point. So, all right, a couple other things that I want to point out is when creating schedules, you can kind of see here we have vacation. So I've gone in, I put in a time off request for an employee, for Mark here. That time off request was approved. And so that automatically shows up on the schedule. So for example, if I had already had schedules put in here, let's go back to the example of you're an 8 to 5 and your schedule's never changed. You just load them in there until the end of the year. If you're also using the time off request feature and a time off request is approved, what would happen is an open shift would be, or the shift that employee was supposed to work that day, 8 to 5, it gets pushed up into the open shift category like you see here. And so see that open shift gets pushed up top, and then we'll talk about kind of what that means as far as who can pick that up. Just letting you know in general notifications of, all right, somebody's not going to be here. If you need somebody to cover that, you can. And we also understand that if you're a small company that, if you're out, me, for example, I don't have any, if I go on vacation, nobody covers my work. My inbox is full when I get back from my vacation. We understand that, but if this applies to you as well, we've made it available. So, all right. Also building up the rest of this schedule, we've talked about the copy and paste feature. So you can copy and paste certain or specific scheduling days, apply that to anyone else on the time card. If you like this whole schedule, you could then copy and paste this from an employee over to another employee. And then we talked about the colors. If you want to color coordinate this, some people get into this and they like their sales associates being a certain color, supervisors, managers, that's all up to you, and that can be done. What's nice about the templates, and the reason why I like them over the copy and paste, I mean, copy and paste is really easy to do. Templates take a little more time to set up, but it does allow you to pre-select that color. So if you are that person that wants to have colors for certain departments, templates are a great way to do that because it just keeps it there. Copy and pasting, as you can see, copy and pasted that. If I'm the one that says, sales associates, I don't want them to be purple, you got to go in there and you have to edit every single one there. So, all right. So once we get the schedules in here, the next step of this would be to post the schedule. So I'm not going to create schedules up here just for the sake of time today. But if we go ahead and post, what this does, notification comes up and says, are you ready to do this? At this point, as soon as we click post schedule, all the employees that have schedules are going to get notified. And then after this, anything that is edited or changed, the employee is going to get an additional notification of. And so we want to keep that just in the open there, just to let you know that we don't want the employees get notifications every day or for the next hour if you're making changes. So this is really important, and it has everything to do with those notifications. It doesn't mean that you can't change schedules after. You can see that as soon as I post the schedule, everything that was kind of grayed out or dim, it then changes to this bright color. It's full bold color, means it's done. We're done with this. You can't unpost, and like I said, the posting, just think of it as simply, I'm sending out a notification to the employees to let them know, here's your schedule for the next week or the next 2 weeks or the next month. So again, going back to that situation or that example that I said of the companies that just have standard schedules, 8 to 5, really, if you just post the schedule every week, they're just going to get notifications of it. That can come through email and through push. If they don't want to receive those emails, they can also turn those off on their own if they don't want to get notifications when a schedule is posted. So now that this is posted, I want to, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. One comment about the posting is I've seen some of our clients, like, they do a wonderful job, they build out all the schedules, and then they're like, why is it not showing? So the schedules do have to be posted. I just want to like make that comment. If you're doing all the work, they do have to be posted to make those actions live. Otherwise, if it's not posted, it still is kind of in a progress mode in a sense. So just make sure that, you keep an eye out if you're going, months in advance or a couple weeks in advance. If that time frame runs out, you will need to repost to make that an active element of the program.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Holly. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, you can build these out in a safe environment per se, and nobody's going to see anything. But yeah, you're right. As soon as somebody hits that post button, and as soon as you click that, notifications getting sent out, and they're live. So perfect. Okay, so a couple things to point out before we move on to the next is what we like is we've added hours to each day, so you can kind of see if you're looking at an hourly budget on a daily basis, you can kind of see that that's all based off of the scheduler. It's not based off of actual punch times. And so this is really just looking at, all right, I have 41 and a half hours scheduled for Monday, same thing for Tuesday. So if you're in a situation where you need to be very particular about that and watch hours in that way, that would be available to you. So other things that I wanted to mention is we have a day view. So if you wanted to see this in a day view, you could. And then we have the week view that we have been working in, and then the 2-week view as well. So, and then the action, you have a couple things. You could clear a whole schedule. So even though this is posted, you can go ahead and clear the whole schedule for this week. Let's say you messed up, you want to start all over, you can. Just know that if it is posted, every new schedule you put on here is going to notify that specific employee. You can also go ahead and copy the schedule. So if you like the template here, everything works, everything's perfect, you want to just say, I want to copy this and move it to the next week, you could do that. Go ahead, paste the schedule, paste there. And as Holly mentioned, this is still, you have to post every week, or you can post every 2 weeks. But this just allows you to kind of copy what you liked last week over into the new week. And then it's still in this kind of limbo state of, I need to make some changes, I need to make some updates. Once you're ready, then go ahead and post the schedule. The last action in here that I want to point out is the apply last week's schedule. So this is really like the copy and paste feature. It just allows you to do it in a one button click. So if you like the last week, well, let's go ahead and apply that here. And it's really just the same as copying and pasting at this point. So, all right, I see a question I'm going to address now. It says, can it be posted monthly? It can't. Right now, we only allow this to be seen every 2 weeks. That's a great question, though. I've actually asked a lot of people if they wanted it monthly, and I didn't get a lot of feedback. So this is good for me to get, something I'll take back to product. We have talked about doing it monthly. I guess the demand's just not been there, but Tina's asking, so I think that's relevant. So we'll take it back to product and see what we can do. But all right, before we move on, Holly, is there anything else? I'm going to jump over to my schedule. Anything else you want to cover here?
No, I think right now let's keep rolling.
Okay. All right, then I'm going to jump over to the My Schedule portion. This is what the employee would see. And so the employee could see this right here in the online portal. If they have the mobile app on their phone, they would be able to see this as well in the same fashion. So they can see a calendar. They can see that they're scheduled for certain dates. They can also see the time off that has been approved. If they requested time off and it was pending approval or something like that, you can see that it'd be grayed out. This green dot means that if there's an open shift and they want it, they can sign up, then it would be a pending approval at that point. So here you can kind of see that my schedule is here, schedule's in here, they got time off, this is what they're scheduled to work. And then they also see an open shift here. And this is for today. This person says, oh man, I really want this shift. Before I pick up this shift, you can also see the shift details. It's an open lunch, you can see lunch duration, it's a 9-hour shift. If there was comments in here, you could see those as well, the employee could. But before I do this, I want to point out as well that we have open shifts over here and there's already a pickup request. So there's already an employee that I put in here that also wanted to work that shift. And so if this employee came in and said, yeah, I also want to take this up. I got some PTO next week. I'm gonna take that shift as well. At this point, going back to the manager side of things and seeing the shifts that were open, you can now see that we have 2 pickup requests. This is nice. Let me blow this up here a little bit. You can see right away that you now have 2 people that have requested for this shift. What I like about this breakdown is it shows you how many hours they're scheduled for, so how many hours you've scheduled them for, and then if they pick up that shift, how many hours they're going to have. So that gives you the ability to simply manage those times. You know, if they're a part-time versus a full-time employee, managing overtime, things like that. It really allows you to see this before you just randomly assign it to an employee. So in this case, want to go ahead, we'll just assign it to Mark. We can assign this here. Assign that. Let me zoom back out here. And then we can go back to the scheduler view. And you can see that shift used to be here in the open shift. It was picked up. We approved it as the manager. Now that employee has that shift. They've been notified that that shift has been approved. And then if you go to their My Scheduler, they can see that as well, that new shift shows up here. Yeah, that's really it when it comes to the My Schedule for the employees. Calendar, My Scheduler, or My Schedule, the open shifts are available there. The last thing I want to show is dropping of a shift. And so the employees have the ability to do this where they could say, hey, I'm not going to be able to work that day. They can go ahead and confirm that. They can have a comment if needed. Say no comment. And then at this point, as the manager, you can see if we go back over to the manage schedules, nothing changes here. We're not moving anything out of here at all until we go to the shift swaps area. Now, at this point, we have a pickup. There's somebody, or let's see, pending shift drops. There's something that's dropped, and that is on October 26th. So at this point, if another employee wants this, they can pick it up. It then goes through the same approval process with the manager. So if you as a manager do not want to approve that dropping of the shift or don't want to approve somebody else picking it up, that is all on you. So if we don't get involved in that, that's you can make that decision on who you want to fill that position.
Hey, Travis, we've got a question kind of in that same line. What about an employee who didn't get selected for that open shift? I'm assuming, is there any notification to them that they didn't get it? Is there anything that happens to that second employee?
Well, that's a great question. I do believe, I'd have to verify, I do believe we send out a notification to them that it was not approved. Let me verify. Yeah, if we can get that person's name,
Yeah.
sure we have your email. I can send you an email later today just to confirm with you on that.
Great. We can do that. Thank you.
Cool. Okay. So really, we've kind of covered, just to recap here, really covered the use cases, and really going back to the whole, I'm a small company, I don't need schedulers, or I don't need scheduling, how does this really apply to me? So hopefully what we've been able to show you today is, even if you are that company that has that 8 to 5, that really setting those schedules in here can benefit you in really managing the deviation of the employees. If they're punching in early or late, you can then restrict them from punching in using that clock lockout feature in the admin. Keep in mind that clock lockout feature can also work on the mobile app, on the web clock, whatever you're using. If you're using a physical clock of ours, that also applies there. And then we really talked about just managing the vacation time, seeing that on there, open shifts, shift swapping, that sort of thing. And then lastly was the notifications. So, and then on top of that, yes, if you are a company that really needs advanced scheduling, such as AM shift versus PM shift, then you've kind of seen here today that we can also accommodate that. So, all right, I think that's it for me, Holly. Is there anything that you also want to touch base on?
Yeah, we've got some questions. First, this is from Elizabeth, and she's kind of covering time off requests. How do employees enter time off requests for just a few hours instead of a whole day? So maybe they need a half day off. How does that look from a time off perspective?
Cool, yeah. So the employee would go into their time off section. They would come here, they would see the hours if they had hours loaded in. So once again, you'd have to put these hours in, but requesting time off, you can see here that there's an option to choose hours per day. And so if we wanted to say, you know what, I want to ask for 24th off, and it's just that single day, you then choose the vacation type, you then have hours per day. And then if you did not want to use, say, the hours, maybe you wanted to use like a specific time frame, you could then come down here and say, I want to use a certain time. So I'm going to be gone from 1 p.m. to end of day, right? And so you could put this in here like this. So a couple ways, half day. If you're specifically asking, and I've had this asked a few times of defining half day versus full day. We don't currently do that, meaning the employee can request all the way up to 12 hours is what we have it currently set. There is talk to product about maybe defining that more for specific use cases like this, where a half day is always 4 hours and a full day is always 8 hours. But right now we really just limit this to whatever the employee puts in, and then manually versus hours. So
Great question. And those do flow over to the scheduler too. So we can block off or schedule that person for that 4-hour period. So there is
oh, absolutely.
way to see some of that from the scheduling perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that here, the vacation, if it wasn't 8 hours, it would show that it was for a certain time frame. So
Great. Okay, we've got some other scheduling questions. I'd be asked, how does that work for multiple days? You can set a range as well. I'm assuming that's for a time off request. So just like he was scheduling for 1 day, on the time off component, you can drag and drop a set number of days. So you're making your selection of 1, and then you're able to set that out. The same will apply on the scheduler as well. So just so you can request fewer hours, you can do that with multiple days or split your time as well.
yeah, and that's a good thing to point out too. This is something that we've added in the last couple of releases is being able to say, hey, I want to choose a date for a date range, but really I'm only requesting 4 hours off on Monday. How do I do that? And before we had to do it with separate time off requests. This, we've allowed you to put in the date range. Here you can come in, put that specific hour, or you can even get more specific in doing the time instead. So cool. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yes. Okay, transitioning to a few outside questions. We've got on the people tab, can the employees be listed by last name? And I do not believe we can filter people tab by their last names. You can filter them by alphabetical order or other things, but you can't, is that filtered by last name?
It does not. It's only filtering by first name. I've just had a conversation. Just had a conversation with our product manager about this. So it's something we're looking into and changing. It's good to know that people are kind of requesting that. But right now, yeah, you're only able to prioritize this by alphabetical order by first name currently. So the filtering of this, you can go in here, you can filter by manager and department, but it does not include last names currently.
Okay. I'm kind of on that same note, if there's things in here that you're seeing, you're like, gosh, I wish this product did this. My suggestion to you, the best way to put in those suggestions, you're welcome to reach out to myself as well, but on the support ticket, there's actually a category that lists out where you can submit for product ideas or requests. That's a great way to get those ideas over to us so that we can take a look at, how many people are requesting some of those things, what are some of the use cases, and then we can obviously reach out and have a further conversation about what that impact might make. So I'm strongly suggesting if you guys have additional ideas for that, please let us know. We're welcome to work on that.
My email is always available too. I mean, if you guys want to email me, I would be more than happy to talk to you about that. Jump on a call to show you something if you need to. So absolutely, I'm always available.
We'll add our email addresses in this next webinar as well. Can we back to questions here? We've got lots of them today. That's awesome. Maria's asking, can I add start dates to filters because we schedule based on seniority?
You cannot, but I like that idea. No, we cannot currently do that. No.
Okay, well, great idea. We'll make sure we write that one down. Next is from M. Is there a way to indicate more detail on the schedule creator? For instance, if you need the staff to have staggered lunch breaks and need to assign someone 12 p.m. and while others to lunch p.m., is there a current capability to specify that? I would say through notes, but maybe Travis has another idea on how we give some more additional information about those shifts.
Yep, we've always utilized notes for that, for those specific use cases. That's how we've handled it. That's how some of our current customers are using that feature. But I'm not opposed to once again having discussion. I put my email in the chat. I mean, I would love to talk more in detail if you have some time about that and how it can benefit you, so I can get kind of a story written up for product. But yeah, like Holly mentioned, we've always utilized notes for that.
Okay, great. Question from Tina. If you enter a range of the request off and there's a holiday, they get 8 hours of holiday time. Does it duplicate the holiday or skip the time off requests? I know it'll skip like your weekends. So say you're a Monday through Friday business, but they're requesting Monday and Friday. It will indicate that you can skip over the weekend, but Travis, do you know if that skips over holidays that might apply in the same fashion?
It does not currently. And so if you have a holiday on the time card that's showing and a time off request comes in, we are letting currently the managers say, hey, this is a holiday. So if in this case, if the manager went in and approved a time off request on, say, Thanksgiving, then yes, you would have a time off request on Thanksgiving. And if your company got holiday time, they would have that as well. So
Great, thank you for that. And, great idea. Like as we are building this, for you guys. So we love those ideas and concepts that are going to make your life a little easier. Next question is from Elizabeth. Do the colors on the circles of the people's names mean anything?
No, they don't. Yeah, they absolutely don't. They are completely random, and yeah, you can't even update them. So we are toying with the idea of bringing out more of like if you guys utilize Slack or anything like that that has a face bubble iPhone. We are kind of toying with the idea of importing, having the ability to put in faces in the product. At this point, this is just what it does. It's kind of a random color. So, yep.
But yes, I agree. That would be nice to have color coding for lots of different reasons, whether that's, again, tied to the scheduler, department location, that kind of org data. Okay, next question. You guys are so interactive today, and I absolutely love that. Michael's asking, how do I apply schedules to some staff but not others? So I think this is the way of stating like, all right, I only need to schedule or enforce a schedule for certain staff members, but maybe not everybody, because I'm sure that applies to a lot of people on this call.
So is the question just in like, so you want to enforce the schedule for say just the technicians, which means you don't want them to clock in before their scheduled time?
Yes, correct.
Perfect. Yeah, so in this case, you would go to that employee. So here, let's say Dennis, he's one of the technicians. We'd come back to the people tab. We'd come down to Dennis here, click on Dennis, and then you come right into the settings of this employee. Down in the timekeeping settings, you have the ability to turn on that schedule enforcement. And so this checkbox here, if there is a schedule, it would, and it's turned on the admin side, which we kind of walked through at the first of the webinar. If that's turned on, then we would be able to enforce that schedule. So if they were scheduled to start at 5 a.m. and the buffer time was 5 minutes and they tried to punch in at say 4:45, they would not be able to. So that's how you would select specific employees that need to be enforced versus maybe managers don't need that or other people that don't need that.
Great, thank you. Stay on this people tab here because we have one more question on this. Hannah asked, what if I have a manager that helps with scheduling, but they really don't oversee a team, or I don't want to assign them to a team, and that I don't want to give them admin access? What can I do with someone who helps with a scheduler or helps with the schedule?
Yeah, great question. So that would be under roles. And so, for example, they're not a manager, but you just maybe have your office manager create those schedules and you only want that office manager to access that. You come to the roles section, click down here. You can see that we have several different roles. That scheduler role, we can hit save, and then we've given that specific employee the scheduler option. So with this option, when that employee logs in now, under their time section, they would not only see the scheduler like they always do, but they would see a manage schedule area here, and they would be able to build these schedules out as well.
Great, thank you. One more from Maria here. She said, can I create templates that allow nursing staff to really see where they're assigned? She gives an example of C1 equals this type of medical card, C2 equals this one. And they really want to be able to see some of that additional information. And there's, I would say, two ways to potentially do that. One, you can have as many templates, even if they're the same time frame, you can name them whatever you want, so C1, C2, or you can also do that notes section where you're adding, maybe you want all the time to be the same, but the notes section to reflect what cart or what specific equipment that person's doing, or their maybe additional job duties for the day. There's plenty of different ways that you can utilize that comment section to achieve lots of different things. So I would say naming or that comment section might be both a good option to determine, what that additional information looks like.
And did you say that was Maria?
Yeah, that was Maria.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And Maria, I would love to reach out to you as well. I'm in talks right now because we do kind of cater to a lot of home health companies. And so what I've learned there is, and there's some companies that really hit home certain aspects of the scheduler. So I'm just trying to get a bigger view of what the market kind of wants there. So I'm in talks now. I'll probably reach out to you, Maria, and see if there's a time that we can chat, if that's okay with you. So
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for that response. We're happy to talk with you guys. Okay. I think that's it. We had a ton of questions for the day. Is there any last things that you guys are questioning, concerned about, or things that we should maybe cover within the scheduler? But the conversation today has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you guys for, coming to prepared with questions. And obviously this seems to be a hot topic for you guys. So that's great to hear. But is there anything else before we end today? I'll just kind of pause here for a second. No. Okay, great. Well, we hope to see you November 29th is the next one. Again, we're going to cover all of the wonderful things. Travis, if you want to quick go down to that next. There we go. Different packages for WorkforceHub. Like we were talking about earlier, if you're not on any of these variations, there's some things that are included, some things that are not. If you guys are on TimeWorks Plus and want to get over to the new side of the product, please let me know. I'm happy to get you moved over, and we will keep all that historical data. So thank you again for joining us today. This next slide is just your chance to reserve your seats, or you'll be getting some emails as well from us. So thank you. Please feel free to reach out to us at any point, and we greatly appreciate your time today. So thank you, everyone.
thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye.